EU reaches deal to reduce highly polluting methane gas emissions from energy sector. Women in the EU still get paid 13% lesser than men, says European Commission. US House passes temporary spending bill to avoid government shutdown. US Treasury Secretary Janet Yellen calls on Pacific Rim finance ministers to boost productive capacity of their economies. Dr. Mohammad Muizu sworn in as 8th President of Maldives. TikTok writes letter to NTA expresses dissatisfaction after the ban. Sudanese governments ask United Nations to terminate political mission immediately. Finland to close 4 crossing points on its long eastern border with Russia. WHO declares loneliness a pressing global health threat. The European Union reached a deal on a law to place methane emission limits on Europe's oil and gas imports from 2030. According to media reports, after all-night talks, negotiators from EU member states and European Parliament agreed to impose maximum methane intensity values on producers abroad, sending fossil fuels to Europe by 2030. The law will now be put to European Parliament and EU countries for final approval. The import rules are likely to hit major gas suppliers, which include United States, Algeria, and Russia. Methane is the second biggest cause of climate change after carbon dioxide and in short term has a far higher warming effect. Rapid cuts in methane emission this decade are crucial if the world is to avoid severe climate change. The European Commission has said the women in European Union get paid on an average 13% lesser than men doing the same job, despite equal pay being part of EU law. It said in 2023 for every €1 that a man earns, a woman earns 87 cents. This was the same rate as in 2022. However, gender pay gap has decreased by 2.8 percentage points over the last decade. The European Commission set out a strategy to close the gender pay gap by 2025, and the Pay Transparency Directive was also introduced in June this year. The Commission also said that it has earmarked €6.1 million to help member states implement this directive. The Commission said that transparency is the key to make a real change, and this new legislation is an important step in that right direction. It also said the implementation of directive by member states will now be the key to enforce the principles of equal pay for all EU citizens. The Commission added that equal pay for the same work or work of equal value is one of the founding principles of EU. It was laid down in the Treaty of Rome in 1957. The US House of Representatives on Tuesday passed a temporary spending bill by 336 votes in favor versus 95 votes against, with support from lawmakers on both sides. The bill aims to extend government funding till mid-January, thereby averting a government shutdown for the time being. It will now proceed to the Senate for approval. The passing of the bill was seen as a win for new House Speaker Mike Johnson, who took over the reign just 3 weeks ago from Kevin McCarthy among the strong opposition. The stopgap spending bill would extend government funding at current levels in 2024, giving lawmakers more time to craft the detailed spending bills that cover everything from the military to scientific research. Some Republicans were disappointed because it did not include sharp spending cuts and border security measures that they sought. US Treasury Secretary Janet Yellen called on Pacific Rim finance ministers to boost the productive capacity of their economies while working to finance the transition to low-carbon energy and provide more opportunities for the poor. Opening a meeting of finance ministers of Asia-Pacific Economic Cooperation countries in San Francisco, she said the group's economic dynamism meant the actions they take for addressing global challenges. Finance chiefs from 21 Pacific Rim economies, including the United States, Japan, and China, began their meeting in San Francisco on Sunday. The ministers exchanged views on how to implement fiscal reforms, taking into consideration the economic situation of each nation. The ministers are expected to discuss how to push the rollout of renewable energy financially with the aim of tackling climate change. November 12, 1966, the first images of solar eclipse taken from the space, the crew of Gemini 12 were able to view and take pictures of total solar eclipse over South America. November 14, 1666, the first experimental blood transfusion took place in Britain utilizing two dogs. International Day for Tolerance. UNESCO made this day official in 1995, November 16. They aim to highlight the dangers of intolerance. They promote understanding and peace between different cultures and diversity. Dr. Mohammad Muizu has been sworn in as the 8th President of the Republic of Maldives in the ceremony held at the Republic Square in the capital Malé. Vice President Hussein Mohammad Latif also took an oath of office. Their oath was administered by the Chief Justice of Maldives. Dr. Muizu had defeated outgoing President Ibrahim Mohamed Solih in the run-off elections held in September. Apart from Mr. Solih, former Presidents Mohammad Nasheed and Dr. Mohammad Wahid also attended the ceremony, while opposition leader Abdul Yamin chose not to attend. The new cabinet will be sworn in and presented with the letters of appointment in a ceremony scheduled later evening at the President's office. With the Nepal's government's decision to ban TikTok in the country, there is an ongoing debate on the benefits and damage that social media can cause. A writ petition has been filed at the Supreme Court demanding the annulment of the decision of the Council of Ministers to ban TikTok in Nepal. TikTok has also written a letter to the Nepal Telecommunication Authority expressing its dissatisfaction. After a cabinet meeting decided to ban TikTok in Nepal on November 13, the NTA wrote a letter to the internet service providers and instructed them to block access to TikTok. There was increased popularity of TikTok in Nepal, but many of its contents were found to be violent and inappropriate for the public. As per the reports, over the last 4 years in Nepal alone, more than 1,600 TikTok-related cyber crimes have been reported to the police. After the government of Nepal issued directives on 10th of November to regulate social media sites like Facebook, X, Instagram and TikTok, they were required to establish their license office in the country. Also, the rule prohibits the posting of vulgar content, hate speech, spreading of fake news, cyberbullying, and matter related to terrorism. But as content on TikTok was increasingly found inappropriate, it was banned in Nepal as it was disrupting social harmony. Sudanese government has asked the United Nations to terminate its political mission UNITAMS in the country immediately. The UN Secretary General Antonio Guterres spokesperson Stephen Dujarric confirmed that the letter had been received and circulated to the UN Security Council. The UNITAMS mission began in Sudan in 2020 and employs more than 400 civilians. Local media reported that the relationship between the Sudanese government and UN has been tense since a war erupted in the country in April this year. Sudan has been reeling after an armed conflict between the army and the Sudan's paramilitary rapid support force erupted over the control of the country. Finland has announced that 4 of the 9 crossing points on its long eastern border with Russia will be closed starting Saturday. Prime Minister Petri Orpo said that it is an attempt to stem the flow of asylum seekers. According to media reports, the move comes in response to a sharp increase in the number of asylum seekers from the countries such as Iraq, Yemen, Somalia, and Syria. Finland shares a 1,340-kilometer frontier with Russia, which also serves as EU's external border with Russia. There are only 9 crossing points, one of which is only a railway. The World Health Organization has declared loneliness as a pressing global health threat. The WHO also launched an international commission on the problem, led by US Surgeon General Dr. Vivek Murthy. The commission will run for 3 years. Dr. Murthy said that the mortality effects of loneliness are equivalent to smoking 15 cigarettes a day. He said the rate of 1 in 4 older people experiencing social isolation is similar in all regions of the world. It comes after COVID-19 pandemic halted economic and social activities, increasing levels of loneliness, but also amid rising awareness of the importance of the issue. Fyodor Dostoevsky was a Russian novelist, short story writer, essayist, and journalist. Numerous literary critics regard him as one of the greatest novelists in all of world literature, as many of his works are considered highly influential masterpieces. Dostoevsky's literary works explore the human condition in troubled political, social, and spiritual atmospheres of 19th century Russia and engage with a variety of philosophical and religious themes. His most acclaimed novels include Crime and Punishment, The Idiot, Demons, and The Brothers Karamazov. His 1864 novella Notes from Underground is considered to be one of the first works of existentialist literature. Dostoevsky's body of work consists of 13 novels, 3 novellas, 17 short stories, and numerous other works. His writings were widely read both within and beyond his native Russia and influenced an equally great number of later writers. His books have been translated into more than 170 languages and served as the inspiration for many films.